Hello, everyone, and welcome to the online seminar for safeguarding intangible cultural heritage in the Asia-Pacific region. My name is Takashi Tsuji, Associate Fellow of IRCI, and I will be your MC for today's seminar. And this seminar marks the 10th in our ongoing online seminar series hosted by the Asia-Pacific Research Forum for ICH Safeguarding, a platform established by IRCI to promote research and international collaboration across the region. In addition, today's seminar is being held as part of IRCI's preliminary research on intangible cultural heritage and ecosystems, which began last April. This project aimed to explore the intricate, meaningful connections between ICH and ecosystems. Our lecturer today is Associate Professor Aida Mammadova from Kanazawa University, Japan. She holds a PhD in medical science and has carried out extensive fieldwork in the Mount Hakusan Biosphere Reserve. Through this work, she has promoted sustainable local development and created opportunities for students to learn local knowledge directly from community members through field-based learning for sustainable development. Her research is highly relevant to today's discussion on ICH and ecosystems. And our commentator is Ms. Duong Bich Hanh from UNESCO Regional Office for East Asia. She is a program specialist for culture, coordinating several projects on ICH in the Asia-Pacific regions. Drawing on her experience UNESCO perspective, we look forward to her reflections on Associate Professor Mammadova's presentation and to an engaging and thought-provoking discussion. We are now honored to welcome our guest speaker, Associate Professor Aida Mammadova. Her presentation, Intergenerational Learning for Sustainable Development, explored the deepening links between biosphere reserves and safeguarding of both cultural and environmental heritage. She will discuss how traditional knowledge can strengthen communities and support sustainable development into the future when combined with the creativity and innovation of young people. Okay. Please join me in welcoming Associate Professor Aida Mammadova.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Tsuji. And by using this chance, I would like first to express my sincere gratefulness and to say that I'm really honored to share my practice today with you at the International Research Center for Intangible Cultural Heritage in the Asia-Pacific region. The work that I'm doing is more related for the human heritage, I call it all the time, and it's related to the people who are living in the UNESCO designated sites. In more details, I would like to jump to my slide and start sharing it so you can see and more easily can understand my talk. In between, I will share some YouTube links that I have created also according to my activities. So I hope you can see my slides and it's going to the PowerPoint mode. Yes, sharing mode. So the topic of my talk today is intergenerational learning for sustainable development. And I am UNESCO chairholder, and our UNESCO chair name is again coincide with this title, Intergenerational Learning for Sustainable Development. We were designated as UNESCO chair in 2023, but we have done extensive work to get this designation for 10 years. Just a brief introduction about myself, how everything started. In 2017, I participated as the Japanese representative by the Ministry of Education, Sports and Technology to the forum in Italy. And this forum was organized by the MAB program, MAB program. It's a UNESCO program for Man and Biosphere Reserve. And in this program, for the first time, they decided to invite the youth from all over the world to discuss about the future of the Biosphere Reserve and the MAP program. So there was around 300 participants, and I was one of them. And with this young enthusiast, I was able to create some mutual projects, which has led to the position that I am now today. So to tell you in a brief, with many countries in Europe, like my partners from Finland, Germany, France, Russia, Belarus, Latvia, we were able to create many projects, and one of that project in 2019 and 2020 was received an award. I received this award as the Young Scientist Award for my work with Biosphere Reserve in Russia and Japan. And next, as I said, we were designated as a UNESCO chair in 2023. And one more award we got recently, it is in 2023, it is UNESCO Japan Prize on ESD, or Education for Sustainable Development. And I also need to say, it's not written here, in 2024, I was awarded by the Japanese Ministerial Award as a young scientist for the promoting my ESD activities. So what we are doing and where we are located, I will, from this slide on, I will talk more briefly and in details. So mainly the region where I am focusing is called Ishikawa Prefecture. It is just facing the Sea of Japan. In this map, you can see it, it's a red color. It's in the central part of Japan. And very astonishingly, this prefecture has a lot of designations which are globally recognized. And some of them I showing here in this map. Let me show the laser pointer here. The one designation is called Noto area. It is Noto Peninsula here, we call it. And it has designation like a globally important agricultural heritage sites, or GIAS. This program belongs to the FAO, Food and Agricultural Program by the United Nations. One more designation is of the city Kanazawa, which is the capital of prefecture, Ishikawa Prefecture. And this city is designated as UNESCO Craft Creative City for the traditional crafts that they are having for more than 400 years of history. And the final region that I am focused, and I will talk mainly today about this region, is called region Hakusan. It's in green color here. This Hakusan is one of the sacred mountains as well, but it's also a name of the region. And the Hakusan mountain has two designations. One is Mount Hakusan UNESCO Biosphere Reserve, and second is Hakusan Tedorigawa UNESCO Global Geopark. Which became Global Geopark just recently. In 2023, it became UNESCO Global Geopark. So it's a very new designation for this region. Why I'm showing you other designations? Because we are strongly working with Noto Peninsula as well as Kanazawa City, because Mount Hakusan is providing water sources which is flowing to the Sea of Japan. So Mount Hakusan is in this side, and the river, Tedorigawa River, it is provide the water source for whole Ishikawa Prefecture. And this water source create connection with Kanazawa City and Noto region. So I'm sure most of you know about MAP program, and because you're very familiar with the heritage sites, which belong to the UNESCO program, and heritage site are the program governed by the culture division of UNESCO. In terms, UNESCO has 5 divisions. The program which I am working belongs to the division of natural sciences, and it calls Man and Biosphere Program, or MAB. This is a really old program. It was launched in 1971, and the concept of this program, as it comes by the name, is connection between man and the environment, or the region where they are living. So activities of the man are allowed in this program to contribute for the social development. In terms, MAP has its own objectives as well. First is to make a research. MAP is very scientific program. So it is emphasized to do a lot of publications and research activities. And nature conservation activities are also allowed. Please note that this is not a nature protection activities. It goes as conservation because human activities are main subject of this program as well. It is different than the World Heritage Program, where you need to protect only the objects. And the second, by using this natural conservation, you can create the sustainable future of that region, or to create the sustainable development with a stable economy and to give this nature for the next generations. So this is the concept of the MAP program. The places, or I call it the field trip or field tools, where these MAP objectives are applied, are called biosphere reserves, or this is designations of the MAP program. Like World Heritage designations, Geopark designations, MAP has its own designations named biosphere reserves. In Japanese, we call them eco-parks. It is more familiar for local people and easy to understand, rather than to say it in Japanese, because in Japanese it will sound like Seibutsuken Hozenchiku, which is very hard to understand. So people call it eco-parks. In terms, eco-parks or biosphere reserve, they have their own three main purposes. One is preservation of the biological and cultural diversity of that region. Next is to make sustainable development of that region in terms of economical development, social development, and environmental development. And these three aspects should be conducted in a harmonized way. And final objective is logistics, or we call it, if we divide it in a more precise way to say it, to conduct research, to conduct educational activities, and the most important is networking as well. Because networking stands as one planet, we need to share our knowledge with other countries and other regions. And today, this seminar is also conducted for the Asia Pacific region. So we are really, I'm really happy to share my research together with you in this seminar online. So biosphere reserves in the world for 2025 data consist from 985 designations globally. And it's if we count by the countries, it is in 142 countries over the world. And by the population, if we combine all these biosphere reserves together, it will be equal to 280 million people in the world. And if we combine all this territory, it will be around 5% of our planet, which is the size of the Australia, or we just imaginary putting these numbers, so it will be easy to understand. The territory and designation itself is huge. And the most of the biosphere reserves are located in the European regions. And the biggest number of biosphere reserves are in the country of Spain. It's a small country, but they have more than 40 biosphere reserves. Japan on its turn has now 10 biosphere reserves. I will tell in details later. So UNESCO Biosphere Reserve, they have the World Network, which I showed in my previous slides, or they call it VBR Network. And they are also divided by the regional networks in 5 places, in 5 categories, like AFRIMA Regional Network, Arab Countries Regional Networks, Europe and North America Regional Networks, Latin American and Caribbean Regional Networks, and Asia Pacific Regional Networks. The number of these biosphere reserves, which is written on the right side, are changing. They are not constant, they are changing annually because some biosphere reserves are omitted from the program, from the designation, and some new biosphere reserve are added. So this number are all annually is changed. Japan is included in the Asia Pacific Network, which has in its terms 3 sub-regional networks. One is Southeast Asia Biosphere Reserve Network, or we call it CBRNet, which is consists of the countries listed here. Another is East Asian Biosphere Reserve, or EBRNet. Again, Japan is included in this EBRNet network, and it plays very big and significant role to hold this network in a very functional manners. Next is South and Central Asia Map Network, or SACAM. This network is also Japan as Asia Pacific region is also relates to. All right, recently from 2017, UNESCO started emphasizing on the power of young people, on the power of youth voices to be heard globally, including inside the Biosphere Reserve governance system, as well as research system, and as well as communities systems. So they strengthen youth activities at national and international levels, and they contribute, they strongly support to create the MAP youth networks. And in Japan, we still don't have a MAP youth network, but from April, it is planned to create the first Japanese youth MAP network. And as I said, to empower the young people to participate in all stakeholders levels activities, will it be governmental sectors, private sectors, educational sectors, the MAP creates different platforms, and one of these is the MAP Youth Forums. And another one is they provide the scientific awards, which is called UNESCO Young Scientist Award, MAP Young Scientist Award. And I think the next MAP Youth Forum, it will be again in Italy in 2026 in May. So if you have some very big enthusiasts or young people who would like to be the representative of your country to participate there, they need to apply through the National Committee of your country of UNESCO to be the participant for the May Forum. So what is Biosphere Reserve? I think I already mentioned it. I will not repeat it too many times. I will just say again that this Biosphere Reserve, in a short, they show the balanced relationship between the people and the nature for the sustainable development of the communities and of the region itself. And of course, they are one of the fields who needs to achieve all SDGs agendas by 2030. Biosphere Reserve, they also have zonations at the conservation areas. They have 3 main zones. We call it, first is number 1 core zone. It's not protected, it's strictly protected area by the national parks. To become the Biosphere Reserve, there should be national park designation at first. And most national parks are already protected areas. So these designations come these zonations come under the core zones. Next, there is a buffer zone, which is here in the blue color. It creates a buffer to conduct educational activities, monitoring activities, and a little bit tourism activities are also allowed in buffer zones. And finally, the transition area. Transition zone is where communities are living. It's the place where traditional culture origins. It's the place where all the knowledge are kept and transmitted from generation through the generation. So the Biosphere Reserve needs to find the balance between these protected areas and this transition zone of the people who are living in these areas. If we look on the map, just for the visualization, I always put it, this zonation I create in this three circles, like the top of the mountain, the buffer area, and transition zone where human activities are allowed. So we need to create the vector to connect all these zones together and make the balanced relations for the human life. Japan has 10 biosphere reserves. Mostly all Japanese biosphere reserves are in mountain regions. The only one biosphere here is called Yakushima. It is surrounded by the sea. It also has designations of World Heritage and Geopark. So today I will talk mainly about Mount Hakusan Biosphere Reserve. It is one of the sacred mountains in whole Japan, along with the Fujisan and Mount Tateyama. By its name, Haku, it means white mountain, and its name originates because of the lots of snow precipitation, and this mountain creates a lot of water resources for the whole region, as I explained you earlier. And this mountain is the sacred mountain until now, and it has a pilgrimage routes. Until now, people are climbing these mountains from the different prefectures. In this map, you can see the trails which was created by the monks in the ancient times. But now these trails are mainly climbed by the tourists or the hikers or climbers to reach the top of the mountains. This is the top of the mountain. But now you can see in this photo down, they have a hut, but before this was a place for the mountains, for the Buddhist monks to have their ascetic training activities or religious activities to conduct. This area has a lot of snow precipitation. Just I want to briefly touch why we have so many snow. As I showed, we located in this part, Mount Hakusan, just facing the Sea of Japan, which has two currents. One is very cold current coming from the north and very hot currents coming from the Pacific Oceans. And in the Sea of Japan, these currents are colliding. And during this autumn and coming winter seasons, the very cold cyclones are coming from the Siberia region, or the wind coming from the Siberia region, and by colliding with these warm and cold currents, they create a lot of precipitation like snow and rain. So, for example, this year we had a really heavy snowfalls, and all this is photos of Mount Hakusan region, and the photo down, it's a village named Shiramine. It is completely covered with the snow, and you can see the snow sometimes reach around 2 meters or 3 meters high. And this year we had once in a 10 years heavy snowfall in this region as well. This is the map of Mount Hakusan. You can see here in the blue color. It is divided between 4 prefectures and 7 municipalities. So it's not a single governing vice versa, but it's a multi-prefectural governing system it has. So 4 prefectures are Ishikawa Prefecture, this side. Then comes Fukui Prefecture, which you can see here in this color. Then Toyama Prefecture, very small part it comes. And Gifu Prefecture, this light pink color. The summit of Mount Hakusan is still very volcanic. Not still, it is volcanic summit, but it's a dormant. And the population, entire population of the people is around 60,000 people. And the main activities that they are doing is agriculture and forestry. Kanazawa University is located not so far from this biosphere reserve. By car, we can reach this place in 1 hour or maybe 1.5 hours. So for us, it's a really blessed area to conduct our research and send our students to these regions. So as I say, the history of Mount Hakusan, it was a national park, and it was designated in 1980 as biosphere reserve, and it was one of the first UNESCO Biosphere Reserve in whole Japan, but unfortunately it was dormant for 30 years. The reason for that is that local people were not aware about this designation. They knew about the designation as a national park, but they didn't know, and the awareness level about UNESCO Biosphere Reserve was very low. So after 30 years, when the UNESCO emphasized to create transition zones in each biosphere reserve, and they requested for the expansion, then these biosphere reserves start its expansions. In 2016, the transition zone was added. And in 2014, the council was established. The council, it has the main objective to connect all 4 prefectures and constantly review their activities. As I said, they have 4 prefectures. It's very hard to manage this biosphere reserve and govern it, as it requires a lot of communications between all these stakeholders, cities, municipalities, private sectors, etc. So this council is now working as a negotiator between all these prefectures. And they have in 2018 their management and operation plan. So in this map, you can see the territory. It was core zone and buffer zone, was designated as a national park. And in 2016, the expansion happened, and they included the transition zone, which is in a light green color here. And this is how the revival of these biosphere reserves started, because they included local communities to be active in these places. On its turn, beside the national park, this core zone has other protection areas like Hakusan Forest Biosphere Reserve, and the buffer zone has Hakusan, it's included as a national park, but also it has Hakusan Mountain Green Corridor and some protected forest areas. So the transition zone, as I mentioned before, it has 4 prefectures and 7 municipalities here, included a lot of small communities. And the village that we are working, it's called Shiramine village. It is just located in this site next to the dam. Just please remember this picture. One more designation that I want to mention here is Hakusan Tedorigawa UNESCO Global Geopark. So in this map, you can see the city map of entire Hakusan city, and the entire city is designated as UNESCO Global Geopark. The slogan of this geopark, it comes by the river, which is flowed from the top of the Mount Hakusan to the Sea of Japan, and this river is called Tedorigawa or Tedori River. It is one of the steepest rivers in all the world, and it creates the story of the water cycle, like the water changed to the evaporates and it changes to the cloud, and clouds again precipitate in the forms of rain and snow, and it goes down at the groundwater again. So this water cycle is the slogan of this geopark, as well as stone cycle, because this water takes a lot of stones, and as I said, Mount Volcano is it's a volcanic mountain, and it's constantly collapsing. And by collapsing, it creates a lot of landslides, and these landslides brings a lot of rocks and the sand to the sea area and creates the land for the people to live. So the cycle of water and cycle of the stone is the 2 slogans of this geopark. And here they have the character, mass character. It is, they call it a Yuki Mama or Snow Mama and her baby, the drop of the water. So this Yuki Mama is carrying her baby, and she has the hat of Mount Hakusan. So as you know, geoparks, they have another concept of the development, sustainable development of the region, promoting tourism and promoting education. So this mascom is very important for the geopark's logo as well. And even by going to some parts of these geoparks, you can find and follow this mascom. in the different forms. Sometimes it is flying on the airplane, sometimes it's flying on paragliders, it has a bicycle, so it promotes this kind of tourism activities as well. So this is one of the site of the geoparks, as this Tedori River is flowing and it creates the gorge, because I said the water is very steepest water in the world, and it is like shaping and erasing the mountains and creating the rivers. And you can see here, it's a big, huge alluvial fan, we call. It is created, this place is created by the sands brought from the top of Mount Hakusan. And this river of Mount Hakusan is flowing now to the left side, but at the beginning it was flowing to the right side. So slowly, slowly the river started changing its direction and created complete land. And now this land is used by the local people for the farming, mainly is rice farming and wheat farming. And they created their own habitat as a small community here. In Japan, as I said, we have 10 biosphere reserves and around 9 UNESCO global geoparks. But the region where these geoparks and biosphere reserve are overlapping is only Mount Hakusan. So in this map, you can see with the green color, it's a territory of biosphere reserve, and the purple color is the territory of the Mount Hakusan city, which is designated as UNESCO Global Geopark. And more than 50% of the geopark is overlaps with the territory of the biosphere reserve. So this is the unique area in whole Japan to conduct scientific activities about the synergies. And this is one of my field of research as well. I'm trying to find out the synergies and conflicts between these two designations. This here, I would like to mention the issues of biosphere reserves. This not only issues of Hakusan Biosphere Reserve, it's all, these issues are common to whole Japan. Sorry, I just take the drink of water. It is common for whole Japan because, as I mentioned, Japanese regions are in the mountain sides. Most of Japan communities reside in the mountain side, and they all face the region of declining population and aging, because the life in the mountains becomes really hard for the communities to survive, and they are just moving and out migrating to the big cities, like young people especially. They are trying to find a job outside of these mountain communities. So this creates depopulation, and the remaining people who live in the mountain are really old. And because they cannot continue their practice, the houses where they're living is just abolishing. They're just abolishing and demolishing their houses. And there is less job opportunities because no people are living there. And the areas are very remote and hardly accessible areas if you don't have your car. For example, now to go to Shiramine village, you need to use public bus, which runs, or train, which runs only 2 times in a day. And you need to change and transit 2 times to reach that region as well. And another one is invasive species, because due to some global warming, some species which are not endemic started to appear in the mountains. And it caused also due to the tourism activities, when the tourists bring some seeds on their shoes and start spreading some invasive species, as well as some species like the wild boars. They are damaging completely the farmland of the farmers and local communities. And there is no followers. As I said, younger generation, they prefer to migrate to the big places. One more issue is the lack of awareness in local people. In my previous slide, I showed that Mount Hakusan was dormant for 30 years, and still the awareness level in local people that this area is designated as biosphere reserve is not so high. We are working on it to increase this awareness through different practices. I will show you later in my slides. And this everything comes from the ineffective governance. As I mentioned again, this biosphere reserve has 4 prefectures, and to make them as a one governance system it requires a lot of efforts and some strategic plans. Therefore, the governance itself is still not so effective. So this comes the questions if all these UN SDGs agendas can be achieved in the 4 years that we are left. Unfortunately, not all, but we are striving and we are trying to reach to this dream concept where we can live in the communities which will be in balance with the natures. And for that, we need the partnership of many stakeholders. I would not mention all of these stakeholders. You know all of them. Just I want to mention the power of the young people to recreate and renovate and rejuvenate the local communities. So by thinking the power of youth and what they can do, Kanazawa University decided to create a special course in 2015. And the course name is UNESCO Biosphere Reserve and Geopark Education. This was the only first course in whole Japanese universities which was combined and gave the unique approach. The purpose of our course was to learn about local issues, culture, and sustainable development by using UNESCO Biosphere Reserve and Geoparks as educational fieldworks. And the second objective is to collaborate with local governments and communities to provide these educational activities. And this was the main thing which get a lot of attention from other partners, because we used community leaders or community people as a teachers, and whole university was changed, or whole community was changed into the university. So we didn't keep students in the classrooms. We just took the students to the fields, to the communities, and they were taught not by the professors, but from the real actors who are living in these regions. And the final was collaborate with UNESCO Biosphere Reserve and geoparks around the world to carry out educational practices. So we invited many, our partners to work with us. And these partners were the people who is living inside UNESCO designated site or geoparks abroad. For example, the partners from East Asia, Southeast Asia, Central Asia, or the Europe. I will show these things later. From 2015 until now, more than, this data a little bit old, around 600 students already participated in the course, and even during COVID, we were really active. So what we are doing, you can see in this map, in the Biosphere Reserve, we are sending our students to some companies or enterprises which are very local to this region, and students are doing their own activities like hands-on practices, internships, research activities. Sometimes they're doing homestays. We are using the diverse method in the education to conduct these activities. And in this map, you can see, for example, they went to the wasabi plantation, or they're going to the nursery schools. And of course, they are helping to, to contribute for some regional activities or festivals. And they are volunteering, and they're providing the hands-on activities there. In 2019, together with our former president of university and the city hall mayor, we created our own research center. We call it Kanazawa University SDGs Geo Eco Park Research Center and Kanazawa Seminar House. And this center is functioned also as our university hub for the student exchange. Then we decided to expand our collaboration at domestic and national, at domestic and also international levels. So in 2021, we started the exchange with the Southeast Asia. It was online because COVID started. We started with the ASEAN universities partnership, and then with Central Asia, again, it was the training program for Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan. It was the online seminar training course for these countries. And with the Europe, until now, we are working very strongly with all these 6 partners. We started online, but now we are changing to the real practice, and we are sending and receiving students from all these countries, as well as universities and biosphere reserve. For example, France is Dordogne Biosphere Reserve, Finland is Archipelago Sea Biosphere Reserve, as well as some geopark, Rokwa Geopark, Norway, Latvia, Estonia. We are working very closely with them. And in 2023, it was countries like India, Sri Lanka, and Africa. We expanded. Then we did our first, in 2024, inbound course. We received students from India, but they were not just students in social science. They were medical therapists in the Ayurveda. I hope you know this. Ayurveda is a traditional Indian science of medicine of healing. And these people, half of them were therapists. And they came to Hakusan and learned about their traditional herbs, traditional medicine that they had before. Next, from Japan, from Kanazawa, we sent students to outside Biosphere Reserve, to India. We sent them to Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve here. You can see here the exchange between Japanese students and Indian students. We sent students to the Finland, as I say, Archipelago Sea Biosphere Reserve in Finland, and they went to the island Porpo. This Biosphere Reserve, it has more than 2,000 islands, and in winter it's completely covered with ice, but students went in summer season, so they were able to travel by the ship. Next, this is the exchange of this in the Finland. They went next to the Palentine Forest Biosphere Reserve in Germany. This forest was in the conjunction with with France, with the prefecture of France. And you can see here the students, they went to some field trips. And one more biosphere reserve is Dordogne Biosphere Reserve in France. We sent Japanese students and they visited UNESCO headquarters of MAP office. They stay with local communities. And we are still continue this. And in this March, again, I am sending around 40 students in total to the International Biosphere Reserve. Next, we created domestic partnership. It's not only international, but domestic partnership. We have created Japanese inter-university network for MAP program. We call it shortly JU MAP, which is active from 2022, sorry. And we have universities like Tsukuba University, Yokohama National University, Kyoto University, Ehime University, Miyazaki University partnership. And annually, every year since 2022, we are organizing this student exchange in these different biosphere reserves. For example, last year it was Japanese students visited Hakusan Biosphere Reserve, and this year they are going to visit Aya Biosphere Reserve. Just to tell you, our activities for all these 10 years have been recognized by the UNESCO very highly, and we were evaluated to be the nominated to get the award, which was very prestigious award named UNESCO Japan ESD Award 2023 for the project named Intergenerational Learning on ESD to revitalize remote communities inside UNESCO, Japanese UNESCO Biosphere Reserve and Geoparks. Among 92 nominations, only 3 nominants were selected, and Kanazawa University activity was one of them. And this was really honorable case for us to get this award. And the concept, the idea of this award, what transformation we provide for the region, what our communities made for those regions. I need to say that we have seen a complete transformation from non-active, dormant community to very rejuvenated and revitalized communities. After 10 years of constant sending students to those regions, the community completely transformed. Even the local people created their own companies. They start to reconstruct the old houses into the hostels and the hotels and increase the numbers of the tourists from outside. They created their own homepage. They start recruiting many young people. They start applying for the different grants to recruit recruit young people to work in the local communities. So we saw a really huge transformation of the communities, and we hope to continue this. We created in last year, it was in March 2025, we created International University Collaboration Symposium, and around 20 people from UNESCO headquarters, from India, Finland, Germany, from all over the world, they came to Kanazawa University. These people were biosphere reserve managers and local communities and local representatives. They stayed and we did a workshop together, how to create the network to connect young people with more communities abroad. And I just need to say the second University Collaboration Symposium will be conducted again in March 3rd. I will be very happy to share this symposium details if you want. If you want to participate online, I can share the online link as well. You can hear the presentation of all people. The topic will be how to create network for the young people to easily accept biosphere reserve and local communities as well as geoparks. So this is the last, thank you very much for your attention. This is the last slide.
Thank you, Associate Professor Mammadova, for your insightful presentation. We appreciate your introduction to intergenerational learning for sustainable development and your discussion on its relevance to the safeguarding of both intangible cultural heritage and natural heritage. Now, we would like to invite Ms. Duong Bich Hanh for her comment. As a related point, we would also like to ask her to introduce the UNESCO Regional Office for East Asia. Han-san, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank IRCI for your kind invitation for me to serve as a commentator for the seminar today, and also thank you greatly to Aida-san for a very inspiring presentation. It's great to hear more. I've heard of this project, the initiative that you are carrying out before, but it is great to be able to hear directly from his mother, who was gave birth and also carried on. I'm here at the regional office for East Asia. We are based in Beijing, and our mandate is to cover the 5 countries in East Asia, China, Mongolia, Japan, and the 2 Koreas. Why the program that Aida-san just presented, as she pointed out, that it was housed under our natural sciences sector. I come from the culture sector. We are working largely on a very diverse topics of culture, linking from world heritage, intangible cultural heritage, museums, illicit trafficking, fighting illicit trafficking of cultural objects, creative industries, including film, music, visual art, performing arts, museums, so on and so forth. So it's a very, very diverse topics, and we are supporting the countries here to largely implement their conventions, their commitment to the conventions that they have ratified. There are 6 cultural conventions, as well as to build capacity to strengthen the governance framework within the cultural sector. So there are the 2 conventions that I would like to introduce a little more closely, because it is very relevant to the topic of the presentation today. Is the 1972 Convention for the Protection of World Heritage, which we often refer to in short as a World Heritage Convention or 1972 Convention, and the 2003 Convention for the Safeguarding of the Intangible Cultural Heritage, which is often referred to as 2003 Convention, which the year here are the designated the time when the convention was born. So under the World Heritage Convention, of course, I think many of you are very familiar with World Heritage sites that have been designated around the country. It is also a type of designated sites like the Biosphere Reserve and the Geopark that the speaker had just talked about. So to date, we have 1,248 World Heritage sites coming from 170 countries, and many of the sites, especially within the heritage, World Heritage, we have the cultural sites, we have natural sites, and we have mixed sites. And many of the natural sites also overlap with the other 2 designated site system, Biosphere Reserve and UNESCO Global Geopark. And I think there might be others, but in this East Asia region, we have Jeju Island, which is often referred to as the Triple Crown, because it is designated at the same time as the World Natural Heritage Site, a Biosphere Reserve, and Geopark. So in terms of the under the 2003 Convention, we also have the list that inscribe the ICH, Intangible Cultural Heritage, or often we refer to as ICH for short. ICH elements from around the world. We have a representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of the humanity. We have the urgent safeguarding list, and we also have a register of good practices. And to date, we have 849 ICH elements that have been inscribed in these 3 lists from 157 countries. One of the topics that really I feel that can be make a linkage to all these topics that we are talking about today, World Heritage, Biosphere Reserve, and Geopark, and the 2003 Convention, is the roles of the communities. The roles of the communities are designated at a very, very significant, important position within the 2003 Convention. They are at the central position of the ICH safeguarding. They are the heritage bearer, they are the knowledge bearers. They play an important role in deciding how and whether or how they would like to safeguard their heritage. So even though all these instruments were developed separately, they are governed by different secretariat, different committees, governed by different rules, different regulations. But in practice, I feel that they converge around one central idea, that is the inseparability of people, nature, knowledge systems, and cultural practices. So in the case of Mount Hakusan, for example, it really demonstrates that landscapes are not just ecological systems, but they are the knowledge systems and the knowledge holders, the people who will be carrying on these knowledge and passing on down to the future generation are the communities. So why we are talking about how some of the sites can be overlap, but in general, the ideas of the 3 designated site system are rather different. For example, the World Heritage recognizes the sites because of its outstanding universal value, which is the value that transcends the boundaries, is so unique that other sites, you cannot find the same value in other sites. The biosphere reserve recognize the living human and nature interaction. The geopark, of course, it focusing on the geographical heritage and the earth history, but at the same time, it also plays a very important role in the community. And in the past, it is getting more, for the World Heritage, when it was first born, the system was first born, it has a very, very strong conservation focus. It has a protection. There are many cases that after the site became a World Heritage site, they remove people outside of the World Heritage because the authorities sometimes feel that the human interaction could negatively impact the conservation of these outstanding universal values. It is getting the community roles and the interaction between the community and World Heritage are getting more and more recognized. And now there are a lot of recognition and a lot of promotion of the management governance framework where communities are co-managing this site. But for the biosphere reserve and geopark, it had been always strongly recognizing the participation of the community. It provides more flexible governance structures. It emphasizes on the education, sustainable development, and community engagement. And then especially with the transition, with the zone, with the buffer zone and the transition zone, it is actually really where people actually live. So in this sense, I feel that the Biosphere Reserve and Geopark could offer a very important governance lessons for integrating intangible heritage, which are essentially living and resting with the communities, with the tangible heritage. And it can offer lessons in a way that World Heritage management systems can learn from, because in many cases, we are still, the World Heritage sites are still struggling how to operationalize these ideas, how to create the balance between heritage protection and sustainable development, and how to ensure that the communities can take part meaningfully in managing the sites and also to benefit from the sites, for example, from tourism, economic development, and so on and so forth. It is also very interesting for me to see the challenges that the speaker highlight for the Biosphere Reserve, not only in Hakusan, but also in other heritage sites in other biosphere reserves in China, in Japan, because we see the ineffective governance, we see the impacts of climate change, we see the impacts of invasive species, for example. I think those are many of the same challenges that the World Heritage sites are currently facing as well, as per for Asia and Pacific, as per the latest periodic reporting processes that that the sites here went through a few years ago. There was one challenge that I thought it was very interesting, and maybe it has not been recognized as much in the World Heritage domain, is the no followers and younger generation. So again, this one talk very much about the close linkages between the tangible heritage, natural heritage, and the intangible heritage, that is an ideal that the Biosphere Reserve and Geopark really embrace. So for the education activities that the speaker presented, from the heritage point of view, we also really promoting the sites and the intangible cultural heritage as part of the education system. We have for many years, I think even since the 70s, late 70s, early 80s, since the earlier years of the World Heritage Convention, there has been developed the World Heritage in Young Hands program, where there are opportunities have been provided to students to visit different World Heritage sites around the place, where the opportunities was offered for them to conduct in film-based learning, experiential engagement with the sites, and where youth can become mediators between global frameworks and the local realities. And then toward the closer, for the past decade or so, UNESCO culture sector also promotes very much the approach of bringing living heritage into the classroom, where the intangible cultural heritage is used not only as a subject matter, but very much as a way, as a methodology. For example, you can use the intangible cultural heritage, for example, different way of when the community using the plant to dye fabric, for example, and that kind of experiences and practices are brought into chemistry classes, so that students can learn at the same time about the chemistry interactions between these different type of chemistry, but then at the same time they are also exposed to different cultural practices of the community. But what I was really inspired by what the speaker was talking about is the community-led leaders play the role as teacher. Because for the experiences in our bringing living heritage into the classroom, of course, one of the key principle is we engage very much with the ICH bearers, with the community leaders, but we have really not seen the practices where they are actually play the role as teachers themselves. And then the student, I also like very much the practice that the student go to the field instead of bringing the community leaders to the classroom, because really where they in the field is where they can actually practice and really experience, have the first-hand knowledge on what is going on. And toward the end of the presentation, the speaker also really showcased some of the positive impacts. That's what actually one of the questions I was having when I was listening to all these educational programs that are being implemented. But then at the same time, at the end, I was very convinced by what kind of impacts that this educational activity has brought to the communities, like to revitalize the community, to not only giving them new economic opportunity, but to really make them feel more ownership, making them feel more they are the owners, they are the actual stakeholder and important stakeholders of the biosphere reserve and geopark. I would like to maybe also take this opportunity to just introduce our an initiative that we are now trying to promote within the World Heritage and Intangible Cultural Heritage field in East Asia. Is a new initiative called the Framework for United Stewardship and Enhancement, bridging intangible and tangible heritage in practice and in policy and practice. So this is an initiative that we are implementing together with all Category 2 centers in both fields of tangible and intangible cultural heritage in East Asia, including IRCI, who's co-hosting the event, who's hosting the event today. We also have another center in Korea, HCAP, and we have a center in China, Krihap. They are the three of them focus on the ICH side of things, and then we also have WIPIC based in Korea and WITRAP based in China. They are the World Heritage related. So this is really an initiative that we are trying to promote the integrated approach in heritage management by bringing more meaningful relationship between intangible and tangible heritage in the World Heritage and other heritage sites context. And we feel that from these, there are a lot that we can learn from the management of the biosphere reserves and geopark, because it is really where the communities are there at the very central location, and a lot of the governance and management of the biosphere reserves and geopark turn around the operation of the community. So we would like to look into exploring how lessons from the biosphere reserves and geopark can inform a more holistic governance models in heritage management, especially in East Asia. So with this, maybe I would like to just throw out a few questions that perhaps to get the conversation going, maybe so that the speaker can give us a few more highlights. And also, I think that would be a good time to also invite the participants who are here with us today to provide more questions. So one of the issues that I'm quite interested in, and maybe hope that the speaker could share a bit more, is how so we learn about how do these education programs contribute to the communities, how to revitalize, re-energize the community. But I'm curious in terms of the governance of the site itself, in terms of the management of the site itself, especially with all the challenges that you mentioned that is go across many municipalities, many so how do you think these kinds of educational programs had contributed to strengthening the site management as well, and in what way? I would also maybe just a quick, you have done a lot of program, you bring the youth outside of Japan, you bring youth from outside of Japan in the country to learn and exchange. I think it is absolutely fabulous. This is a very good way to establish this youth network. And I'm just curious how these activities are being financed, because we are all now facing a lot of financial challenges. And so how do you think that was handled so successfully in your case? And the third question that I would like to maybe pick your brain is, what do you think would be the best way to, are there any values in strengthening the synergies between the UNESCO designated sites, biosphere reserves, geoparks, and World Heritage? Maybe because biosphere reserves and geopark, both of them are governed under our science sector. Maybe there could be already some sorts of interactions, but then World Heritage, unless you are like a site is designated at the same time as World Heritage and something else, and maybe there has not been that many interactions between World Heritage sites and biosphere and geopark. So what do you think could be some of the activities, some of the things that we can build synergies among the designated sites? And then if we bring in the intangible cultural heritage element as well, and how do you think could be really what are some of the concrete actions that you would advise us as a way to really promote the synergies among the sites, and then also the integrated, stronger integrated management approaches across the sites? So those are a few questions that I hope that you could enlighten us further, and maybe I'll pass it on back to you, Aida-san.
Thank you, Han, for really nice comments. I was listening and enjoying how nicely you combined my presentation with the objectives of the cultural heritage site that you are governing. And on your questions, I will go one by one. First, about the governance. As I mentioned, yes, multi-governmental system is really hard to do it, but what I have seen, I am also the member of the Mount Hakusan Biosphere Reserve Council for the educational sector. They have research and educational sector, so I am a member of that one. And I have seen that after our activities for 10 years, the council decided to create their own network to connect the prefectures. And they are doing annually the meeting in a different prefectures for the local communities. Now, for example, they are meeting one year. They are doing community meeting. They call it relay symposiums. So they call many local communities people to come together and from the ground discuss what are the regional problems. And they are making some food training courses for the local people, because each prefecture has different way of food culture. So they decide to connect local people through the food program. Also, I have seen that the local government decided to give the subsidies for the researchers, for the students who want to do research on biosphere reserves. They're giving some kind of fundings. And the establishment of the council was a big movement to unite all these 4 prefectures. Still, I cannot say it's very effective. No, it has a lot of issues. There is very step-by-step approaches because the local people are not aware of the biosphere reserve concept. They are much more aware about the geopark concept. This we can see, but the biggest concept that they know is World Heritage. Because I haven't mentioned in my slides, but biosphere, Mount Hakusan, one region which is belong to the Toyama prefecture, is designated as a World Heritage Site. So many people are very much, it's called Shirakawa-go and Gokayama, World Heritage Site. So many people are really keep it as a pride and as a honor to that this region is World Heritage Site. Second comes Geopark, and third will be Biosphere Reserve. They don't know even what is Biosphere Reserve. So this is governance has a lot of issues to do still. Next question about the finance for the students, for the networks. Until now, I will say there is no direct fundings from anywhere. We always finding the sources from the private sectors. Annually, we are applying for these funds to get some resources. There is funds from the national government of Japan, but these funds again should be applied to get it. So for my courses, 2 times I was selected for the we call it MEX, Japanese Ministry of Education and Technology. I received 2 times the grants for them, where I was able to conduct my first network with youth and students from Belarus and Russia. It was in 2018. So constantly, every year, we're getting some funds. And for somehow, when we have like a real regional networks, the municipalities, sometimes they provide their own money for the students to come to the cities. For example, next training course will be in Miyazaki Prefecture in Aya Biosphere Reserve. So Aya Town, we call it Aya Town, is providing their own funds for the students to come. So yeah, funds need to be always searched. The last question was really hard one, how we can find these strategic, these synergies between biosphere reserve, geoparks, and World Heritage Site. Yes, they belong to the different sectors in UNESCO, but as you mentioned, in practice, they are really similar. They're very much similar. And I myself got confused many times how I can do these programs so they will not be confusing for the students. Because if we have two designations in one place, biosphere reserve and geoparks, the student, they don't know, they cannot see the significant difference among them when they see local people's lifestyle. Absolutely, the designation itself disappear. And what we come is that this lifestyle, it was created through the generation to generation by centuries, when there was no designation at all. So now why we want to try to put designation on them? These questions come from the students, and I sometimes really get confused why we put this designation. Okay, I try to explain that we want to give them more international recognition, so to connect them with global world. But in the core, this practice belongs to the people only. So in the practice, very hard to put any kind of borders. They become as a one practice. So I wrote one paper for the synergies and conflicts between biosphere reserve and geoparks in Mount Hakusan Biosphere Reserve. I can share this later, my paper, or you can just search it if you see it. There I categorize these synergies and conflicts in the governmental sectors, educational sectors, social sectors, historical sectors. Some sectors I divide. So if you choose some sectors, yes, you can put some synergies and conflicts. But as an entire concept, it's really hard. It's almost impossible to put from my perspective. But what I have found, students, almost all students, they're very much familiar with the concept of World Heritage. And next, when I'm doing some kind of training courses, what I'm doing, I'm sending them, for example, to France, where there is UNESCO World Heritage Site. And I'm saying, find the linkage with Biosphere Reserve where you will go next. So next, when they go to the, for example, Dordogne Biosphere Reserve, they try to find some linkage between this Notre Dame and this Dordogne and another Biosphere Reserve region, and also with Geopark. So in the training courses, I ask students to find these synergies and what is missing, what is conflict. So, but again, as a conclusion, the students come to the one conclusion that they're all the same. So it's really hard for me. Sorry, yes, I talked. This is the end from my.
Thank you very much, Han-san and Aida-san. Thank you for your discussion. We have now reached the conclusion of today's seminar. On behalf of IRCI, I'd like to express our sincere gratitude to our estimated lecturer, commentator, and all online participants for joining us. We hope you found the seminar both enjoyable and informative.